Welcome to MIAG News, the channel where you can get all your historical facts. My name is Gustavo Coelho, and today we're going to talk about life during some of the darkest times in history, war. Our first story is about a woman who ended up having to work after her husband left for the war.
We are here in Chicago with Susan, a brave young woman who has done all the work previously done by her father all by herself. Susan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, since my husband left, I've been working on a textile factory every day for approximately 8 hours. It's a new style of life, and I must admit, I had to get used to a lot of new things. For example, there's only one bathroom on my floor, and the toilets don't even have doors. I know I'm being paid less than what my husband was, but there's nothing I can do about it. When I get home, I also had to do all the previous work I did before this, of course. And unfortunately, I can only do the shopping after work when all the shops are closed, so I try to save food to make it last until the weekends. Taking care of the kids is still no easy job, but at least now they're at the age where they can help me a little with cleaning the house.
How old are your kids?
The girl's 6 and the boy's 10.
I see. Must be quite challenging having to deal with all the workload all by yourself. How are your kids dealing with your husband's absence?
They're devastated, just as I am, of course, if not more, but I need to be strong for them. They were often sleeping in my bed with me, and I had to keep myself from falling apart every time they cried at night.
What made you decide to start working?
Well, I wasn't left with much choice. At first, I tried to resume my life as normal, but I reached a point where that just wasn't an option anymore. I walked down the street and saw all these posters telling me I needed to step up for my family. We were running low on food, and I couldn't give that kind of lifestyle to my children, so I decided to follow the footsteps of many and take the advice. I became a working woman.
Have you heard of what has been going on in Europe?
A few weeks ago, my cousin in London told me about the bombings there. Her kids needed to be taken away to be evacuated, and she hasn't heard from them since. God, I hope they're okay. What I've been told is that during the evacuation, all children need to learn to live with strangers, to use gas masks and rations, so everyone has the right share of food.
What is the hardest part in all this?
Being alone in that empty house, wondering what's happening to my husband, wondering if he's still alive, and just hoping that my kids will be safe in all this, and all the possible things that could happen during war. Some days I hardly go to sleep, just go to work, do my best, and return home to keep myself busy.
Thank you, Susan. That will be all. Gustavo, back to you.
In the war, women everywhere followed the lead of Rosie the Riveter, the star of the government campaign that recruited female workers to the industry. The campaign started when a promotional film was made to encourage the sale of war guns. It starred Rosie Monroe, a riveter involved in bomb construction. The female workforce improved to 27 to 37% after the campaign. As their husbands were fighting abroad, the women would work in defense plants and volunteer for war-related organizations.
We were actually able to contact Susan's cousin in London. We are headed there now to meet her daughter, Nancy, who was evacuated from the city.
Thank you, Gustavo. I'm here with Nancy, who opened her time in her busy schedule to tell us a little bit about her story. How are you doing, Nancy?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, thank you. So tell me, Nancy, how was the evacuation process?
Well, a couple of officers showed up in my house and told me the bombing will start anytime soon. So they evacuated us to a train station where I was separated from my siblings. It was horrifying, really. I was really scared and I had no idea where I was supposed to go. And then they told us we would spend time with their host families.
Who else was evacuated?
Pregnant women, school children and teachers, mothers with kids under 5 and disabled people.
Did you stay with a host family?
Yes, they were really nice to me and they made sure I was comfortable and not scared because my real family was away. It was exciting because I lived on the countryside and everything was really new to me.
What happened when the bombing started?
We went to the basement where it was full of supplies for a couple of nights. We tried to sleep, but it was no use. The bombs made too much noise. We were scared, but our family made sure we were alright and safe.
What about the men and the adults back home?
Oh yeah, that's pretty bad. I know most people resent all the soldiers that stay at home because most of them turned their own friends and neighbors to the Nazis.
What was the worst part in all of this?
Hearing the bombings in the basement and wondering what was happening to my father and my siblings. I was so worried I couldn't barely sleep.
Alright, thank you, Nancy. That'll be all. Back to you, Gustavo.
The war gave women a voice, but it didn't last long. When men returned home, women were forced out of their jobs. Even though the nation needed them in time of crisis, women still weren't fully appreciated when the war ended. The image of the woman was still of someone who served men.
Thank you, Marcus, and thank you all for watching. Have a great day.